Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to this week's Electric Bilodeau. A lot going on this week. Joe DeRosa, comedian, is playing a show over at the Riviera Theater coming up on Saturday night. Got a chance to talk with Joe. Really funny guy. He's got a lot going on as well. He's got a couple of podcasts, an acting gig, in addition to doing all this stand-up comedy. So he is very busy, and he was nice enough to take a few minutes to come on Electric Bilodeau last week and talk about his show coming up on Saturday night. So here is Joe DeRosa.
All right, Joe DeRosa coming to Charleston, coming up on February 10th, going to be at the Riviera. Nice enough to join us on Electric Bilodeau here this afternoon. Joe, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you have so much going on because as I was looking you up, you have multiple podcasts, you're an actor, you're doing this stand-up show. How do you keep everything straight and how do you have all this energy to do all this?
Well, I mean, you named three of the easiest jobs in the world, so it's not that difficult to get paid to pretend to be somebody else if you're lucky enough to land an acting job. Talk with your best friends for money, or get on stage and tell dirty jokes. I mean, it's all pretty. These aren't really taxing positions to have. If I was like a welder, a seamstress, and a parent and a truck driver, then I'd be like, yeah, it is. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? But man, the jobs, it does at times get a little stressful to sort of juggle all the things. Only because it's the kind of pursuits where you're the boss, basically. Like you're your own boss, so you kind of have to make sure that you don't let anything fall through the cracks, and you're kind of responsible for everything with the finished product. Except with acting, that's just handed to you, and then you do what they tell you, and that's that. But with the other stuff, but the acting is so seldom. The other stuff is really the stuff that takes more micromanagement and stuff. But again, they're pretty joyful pursuits, and they don't take a ton of cumulative time. So, real actors, I guess, spend a lot more hours in the day. They're on set for like 12 hours. Luckily I don't get those pesky lead roles. I get the guest starring roles. You come in for 5-6 hours, you're gone. So yeah, it's easy.
The welder, seamstress, truck driver combo, that's like a reality show you need to start. Just following someone who's got all three of those.
Yeah. No, exactly. Even with my bar, like I own a bar and sandwich shop called Joey Rose's. But even with that, it's like, I'm more of the promo personality part of the business. The real minutia, the day to day, my partner Paul Italia handles, and that's sort of his racket. So it's like, I get to do the stuff that I'm thankfully or hopefully good at, I should say. But at least the stuff that I like to do, that I gravitate towards with all these jobs. So it's not so bad. I can't complain.
Is there ever times you need to make sure that the material's not overlapping, that you're not, doing something on your podcast that you talk about in your stand-up or vice versa?
I've made a very conscious effort to compartmentalize. So it really, once in a while, I'll say something on a podcast where I'm like, I should add that to this part of the show or the stand-up show or whatever. But I really, really try to compartmentalize, like one of my podcasts is about movies. We'll See You in Hell. And then Taste Buds, the other podcast, is about mostly food debates. I don't really talk about that kind of stuff in my act too much. And then obviously with the bar, and if I'm promoting the hoagie shop we have, it's it's just not much that's going to overlap there with stand up. So yeah, it's pretty easy to separate it. I like to have different outlets for different things and interests. I don't know. Some people work the opposite. Some people, it's kind of like across the board. There's a thing they do, and that's that. You know what I mean? So, political comics are like that, where it's like that they're the political person. Like they get up, the stand-up's about politics, the podcast's about politics. Whenever they appear on things, they're talking politics. I and that's great. That's great for branding. But I have a lot of different interests, and I try to compartmentalize them with different outlets to explore them and celebrate them, and then hopefully my personality is the connective tissue. So basically, my miserable personality is the thing that injects into all of it. So that's the brand, and then what I'm saying is about a different topic. You know what I mean?
I know that feeling well.
Yeah.
The tour is the I Never Promised You a Rose Garden tour. Were you what does the name come from? Were you just trying to grab any random 70s country song you could find, or was there a meaning behind it?
No, it's funny. I didn't know the song. That's not, the title didn't come from the song. The title came from the book. I don't know if the song is based on the book. They made a movie, the book. I've never seen the movie. I know what it's about because I have the book. But I have a, I don't know, like a loose trilogy in my stand-up, which is basically like the You trilogy or whatever, for lack of a better way of putting it, or lack of a better title at the moment. And it was something I always had in my head. So I had an album called You Will Die, and then I had a special called You Let Me Down. And I always thought I want to do a third one with you in the title. And the reason it's a trilogy is because they're very blamey hours of material. They're very finger pointing, like, this is what I think sucks about the culture and society, and there is no real hope to fix any of this. It is just what it is. So I was working on when I was first working on this new hour, I knew it was going to kind of be the third installment. And I was in a bookstore in New York, and I saw the book, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's the title. That's the third, there it is. Because I didn't know what I was going to call it. I just knew that I was on track thematically to do it with the subjects I had been writing about. And so that was really all it was. I was like, there's no better way. And this one out of the three is the most, I almost want to say complacent, meaning like, the opinions, it's got all my opinions in it, but it's the least barky of the three. And it's the most just like, what are you going to do, man? This is what it is. Like, it all kind of sucks. We've hit a real bottom here. I don't think it's going to turn around. And I thought that really matched. I don't know what came first, the title or that overall tone in this final installment, or whatever you want to call it. But I felt like the title really matched that. And it was reflective of me, and just the idea of like, hey, nobody promised us that it was going to be any better than this. This is what it is. Sorry if you had your hopes up, but here's what we get. As my friend Jim always says, it sucks that this is the future we got. He's like, out of all the futures they showed us in the 80s in sci-fi movies, we got the RoboCop one. Like, this really sucks, man. We didn't get the Back to the Future 2 one.
We're still waiting for hoverboards too, like, which is a crime.
Yeah, I know. They finally put wheels on a skateboard, or electric wheels on a skateboard. They're like, that's a hoverboard. You're like, oh, thought it was going to be better than that. But anyway,
So
yeah.
I know you've been on this tour for a couple of months now as you work on the third hour. How much does an hour change from when you start the tour until when you finish it and you record the hour for a special?
Greatly. Now it's pretty locked in. So now I'm in the zone of like writing, like massaging the connective tissue between the bits and continuing to massage the overall arc of the show. But like it changes. So that's sort of the minutia at this point, but like changes greatly. The ending, the where the show ends now is not where it ended a year and a half or 2 years ago. But you learn as you do it. You get little notes along the way that help. My friend Georgia Hardstark, who co-hosts My Favorite Murder, which is a true crime podcast, she saw the show early on in LA, and she came up to me and she's like, I really liked it, but she goes, the ending is not the ending. Like that part at the end should be in the middle. She's like, I don't know where the end is, but that's not the ending. And like that note literally reshaped the entire show. Because until she said that, I didn't think of it. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh, wait, she's right. And then it just, so you get a note like that, or one night you realize like, oh, this part gets a bigger pop than that part. So I got to put it behind, I got to reverse the order here. And then you go, well, wait, I reversed the order. Now the transition doesn't work. So now I got to move this up to here. You know, it's just editing, you know? It's like making a movie or something. You shoot a bunch of stuff and you got it all there in front of you, and then you got to put it together so it makes the best sense, you know? And then you cut for time, you know, that's another thing, is like shortening it so the pace is there, you know, and all that stuff. It's a lot, you know? It's not a lot. It just takes time. That's all.
Yeah. Before I let you go, like you said, you're playing at the Riviera February 10th.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Saturday. Have you ever come to Charleston before to play here?
No, this is a first. I'm excited. The theater looks great, and I like South Carolina a lot. But I got to be honest, I don't know that I've ever even been to Charleston. I've been to South Carolina many times, but the last time I was there, I played Greenville?
Greenville.
And I really like Greenville quite a bit, and I've had good shows there. And I went to Myrtle Beach a lot as a kid, but I don't think I've ever been to Charleston. So unless it's like kind of passively driving through it, but I've certainly never done a show there. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we're excited to have you here, Joe. I hope you enjoy your time here. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks so much to Joe DeRosa for joining us. Like we said, his show at the Riviera coming up on Saturday night. Tickets still available on Ticketmaster. I actually have a deal where you can get 2 for 1 and still be within the first few rows, so that's a great deal. So I would definitely go and snatch that up and go see Joe DeRosa this weekend if you get a chance. Now, we're going to be back here coming up on Friday for the Friday Night's Tailgate, and back next Wednesday for Electric Bilodeau. Another comedian, Becky Robinson, going to be joining me for that show. Very excited. She was a great interview as well. That's going to wrap it up for now, though. We will see you everybody next week.